Hi, everyone. I'm Dana Ponsky, your guide to college, and welcome to Being Jewish in College's video series, Kibbutz in 10 Minutes. Today, you're going to get 10 minutes of valuable information from Rabbi Emma Kipley-Ogman, the Associate Chaplain for Jewish Life in the Center for Religious and Spiritual Life at Macalester College in St. Paul, Minnesota, on Dakota land. Thank you so much for joining us today, Emma. We really appreciate it.
It's great to be with you, Dana, and with everybody.
Thanks. So to kick things off, my first question always is, what is the name of the Jewish Center on campus?
Sure. So Macalester Jewish Organization is the Jewish community. It's run by students, for students, and it's part of our Center for Religious and Spiritual Life here at Macalester.
Wonderful. So we talked about this before, but this is exciting for me. I'm going a little out of order with the questions, but trying something new. How would you define the character of the Jewish community at Macalester? And also, what do you love most about leading the community?
So what's truly beautiful about the Macalester Jewish community is that, as I see it, as I've experienced it, I've been here for 6 years so far now in 2023. And kindness is at the center of the community. Students care profoundly for each other, accompany each other through whatever's going on in life. They're creating it. So really the community depends on who's here and who's rolling up their sleeves and making it happen. Different things happen every single year, which is really exciting. There's tons of possibility for creativity, innovation, exploration, and that kind of openness is really, really powerful. So one of the things I love about leading the Jewish community at Macalester is that I kind of lead it, but really the students lead it. And I get to be alongside and prod and nudge and explore with them and offer them resources and connect them to things going on in the larger Jewish world. And I learn from them, right? Every single person who shows up here is bringing their breadth of life experience and they bring it into the community, which is really powerful. The other amazing thing about Jewish life here is that it is situated and anchored. Like, we don't have a separate building for Jewish life. It's in the Center for Religious and Spiritual Life, which means that the people creating Jewish life at Macalester are not only Jewish people. The other chaplains have their offices in the same space. The other student-led communities of practice are active in the same place. And so there's this multi-faith, interreligious, intercultural interaction that's baked in to what it means to be Jewish at Macalester.
Wonderful. Thank you so much. And thank you for pushing me out of my comfort zone with reordering things. How many Jewish students do you have on campus? And I know they don't keep this information readily available, but if you know the breakdown between secular, reform, conservative, Orthodox, humanist, reconstructionist, or whatever anyone in this diverse community might define themselves, would you happen to know those numbers?
Some of them, sort of, right? There are plenty of reasons that Jews don't necessarily say I'm Jewish when they come to college, but many people do, right? So we think that about 7-8% of Macalester's student body is Jewish. There's just over 2,000 students at Macalester, so neighborhood of 150 to 200, depending on the year, right? Who's here and who's showing up. And in terms of that breakdown, I really don't know the answer to that. I would say that more students are growing up Reform or secular or Reconstructionist than are conservative, and there are very few Orthodox students who come to Macalester. People are coming, so Jewish students are coming from all over the country. It has a really wide draw, both coasts and throughout the Midwest and the South, and bringing like a really wide range of Jewish experiences. Many grew up in Jewish summer camps, whether that's the Reform or conservative movement camps. A whole bunch of Habonim Dror folks come to Macalester, and some of those more independent, creative Jewish summer camps too. So that's a primary identity for some folks in their Jewish experience. And then I would say there's a lot of students who are coming to Macalester with, I have some Jewish background, I have some Jewish ancestry, I have some Jewish connection, and they come here and then they explore it. So I would say every year that I've been here, among the leaders of the Macalester Jewish Organization are people who would have had no idea coming to college that they would have been involved in Jewish leadership, right? It's the coming and being part of the community is a transformational experience for folks. And then I would say there's also a bunch of folks who are curious about Judaism, who are part of the Jewish community at Macalester. What is Jewishness like? And part of their journey of becoming Jewish while they're students at Macalester.
Wonderful. So the next most important question is always food. Are there kosher food options available to students on campus? And if so, what are they?
Sure, yeah. So Macalester just has one dining hall, and it's not a kosher dining hall by any means. Students who care about kashrut usually eat vegetarian food in the dining hall. So if that's a practice that's comfortable for folks, that's available. The MJOers, when they make Shabbat dinner, it's always vegetarian. They make it in the Center for Religious and Spiritual Life kitchen. And then during Pesach, during Passover, they kosher the Center for Religious and Spiritual Life kitchen. It becomes a Passover kitchen, and it's kind of a co-op. People are cooking for each other in that space.
Oh, wonderful. Okay. Yeah. So do the students coordinate a weekly Shabbat dinner or gathering opportunities for students?
Yeah, so MJO creates an every other week Friday night, although like in the fall especially it ends up being a lot more just because of Chagim, the holidays and all of that. But so every other week is usually the basis. There's a weekly Tuesday meeting, which is kind of just a schmooze, or sometimes they're bringing in a speaker or having some kind of topic for conversation. And then, yeah, all of the holidays are present on campus, and then with more connections into the community. Some students who have said, wow, I really want some more, will create gatherings in their own homes for Shabbat. Many juniors and seniors at Macalester live off campus. So they've coined the Shabbat luck, the potluck for Shabbat. That's a thing that happens. And some students have coordinated going to visit local Jewish communities and getting a sense of the diversity and variety of that on Friday nights when Macalester when we're not meeting as MJO.
Okay, wonderful.
Yeah.
What would you say is the most popular or well-attended program on campus that is sponsored by the MJO?
So, oh my gosh, since well before I got here, the Pesach Seder, the Passover Seder has been the like biggest gathering moment of the Jewish community. More than 150 folks are usually there. Jewish students, but also roommates and friends, faculty and staff. Sometimes they bring their families, right? So there's a real sweetness to that space. It's different every year. It's created and led by students. So people are bringing rituals from their families and developing rituals that they're growing here in community. So that's really been the kind of most popular. But like, as I said, we don't do the same things every year. So new things emerge. And in the past 2 years, we've done these home-hosted Rosh Hashanah dinners where students, faculty, staff all host in their yards or in their homes. And that's been extraordinarily popular. And people have hosted who've never hosted a Shabbos dinner before. They're like, I want to host Rosh Hashanah dinner. And then they do it and it's amazing and it's totally sweet. So both kind of these moments of big gathering, but also these opportunities for smaller and more intimate collections are part of the story. Okay, and then I'm going to also say, we did in 2023, we did what we think is the first ever Purim Megillah reading at Macalester. Students, faculty, staff all read Megillah. And the students made skits between the chapters. It was, and alumni came back to help make it happen too. It was really beautiful. So that's like 70 people in the room, right? So things are surprising, and the gatherings can be joyful, playful, and powerful and transformational.
Wonderful. So in terms of, switching a little bit over to academics, are there any Jewish studies majors or minors available on campus, or students have access to Hebrew language courses?
Sure. So there's not a specific Jewish studies major. There's a religious studies major that folks can do, and there are Jewish studies classes within that. And then there are also classes that are related to Jewish studies curricularly in, history, poli-sci, anthropology. You'll find classes in other places that will have Jewish studies related material, obviously, because Jewish studies is not just a religious thing, like cultural, historical, the whole thing. And there is a Hebrew program. 2 years of college Hebrew is available on campus. Professor Nanette Goldman, who teaches that, last year, 2022, won the teaching award for the college, right? The one professor wins that every year. She won that award last year, right? So you're getting this amazing, amazing teaching. And students who want more than the kind of 2 years focused on classical. She also teaches Latin and Greek, by the way. She's brilliant. So students, yeah, I know, right? Students who want more than that, she often will do independent studies with them. And some folks have also taken classes at the University of Minnesota that's not far away.
Okay, perfect. So one of the things that comes up a lot with families and students is the last questions about the political or social justice climate on campus, particularly around topics like BDS or anti-Semitism, anti-Zionism, anti-anything Jewish. And so I'm curious, have there been any incidences that this school has dealt with? If so, how has the administration dealt with that? Or if not, how has the administration worked closely with the chaplain's office to ensure that there's, a positive, safe community for students?
Great question. Yeah, I get that a lot. And so I would say Macalester is a campus where many students who are coming here are social justice oriented, right? They're interested in making the world a better place with the work that they do in their lives. And so that applies to everything, like across the board, right? And so I would say so one amazing thing about our students is that they actually do their transformational work not only beyond Macalester, but in Macalester as well. And of course, right, this is a human institution. There are not only incidents of anti-Semitism, there's structural anti-Semitism, just like there are other forms of structural oppression and other incidents of racism, transphobia, ableism, all kinds of things, right? So part of our work is addressing those in relationship. The Center for Religious and Spiritual Life, so my office, is part of the Division of Institutional Equity. And part of our mission is addressing all of those dimensions and addressing them together, not as if they're separate phenomena, but actually all part of the political human landscape that we live in. So Macalester is a profoundly relational campus, and we do that work relationally. So it depends on what's the context for what's emerging and what's happening. We gather people. So I'm part of the college administration, right? I'm not separate from it. So and what's amazing is my partners in the division are amazing partners for doing this work. So things are not covered up or ignored, but actually raised up, brought into the community, discussed, and the work of transformation is part of our work. And so I'll say also, like, students at Macalester are critical of Israel, critical of the Israeli government, of course, right? And one of the things that we get to do, I mean, students at Macalester are critical of nationalism in general, right? So the whole thing, right? So the work is doing that work while staying connected and staying in relationship. And I would say that students in this moment are often nervous about expressing the ideas that they've come from. Will somebody peg me? Will somebody, put me in a box because of what I say? And students who I've spoken with who have expressed those ideas and approached others with curiosity about those ideas have found it to be profoundly rewarding. So that work of this time, this is like a learning space and time, right? So that work of who am I? Where did I come from? What are the ideas that I received? What about you? How is that different from what I received? That's actually the core work that people are here to do. And so it's our work to help people do that work together.
Wonderful. What challenges, if any, might a Jewish student in particular face when coming to Macalester?
Sure. I mean, it depends on the context that folks come from, right? So for folks who come from deeply kind of steeped Jewish context, you're going to meet somebody here who's never met a Jewish person before. That's going to be part of your experience in college. And they're going to have questions, right? And they're going to ask you questions that might seem from left field, or do you understand, or do you know who I am, right? And that's the growth work that every single person here is doing, right? Is doing that work of, how do I tell people about who I am? How do I be who I am, fully in community, engaged in this way where somebody might not have encountered anybody like me before? So I would say that the core challenges of Jewish students at Macalester are not different from the challenges of any other students at Macalester. It's the work of this emerging adulthood. How do I figure out who I am? How do I want to be in this world? How do I do that in community, in connection with other people?
Okay, wonderful. And my final question now, because we changed things up a little, what is one interesting piece of information about Macalester that you think is really important for people to know?
So I would say something it's not completely unique about Macalester, but Macalester is located in St. Paul, in the city, despite the wildflowers you see behind me, right? There's a street right over there. It's and one of the things that people are coming to Macalester to do is to be part of this urban environment, the Twin Cities, St. Paul, Minneapolis, and surrounds. And people are doing that through internships, through volunteer work, through coursework that actually takes people out into the community. The college is deeply connected with the city around us. And the Twin Cities are an urban area where nature is readily accessible. So if you can take a bus and you can find a cross-country ski course. You can walk 1.5 miles and you're at the Mississippi River. You can bike out from campus and go on trails that'll take you miles and miles. So it's this place where people have a chance to seek out both the like full humanity of this urban center and the like amazing natural world that's around us.
Beautiful. Well, those are the 10 questions. This was fantastic. And I've just so enjoyed like talking with you and getting to know you. And I'm really happy we got a chance to do this. So for anyone who's listening, watching, doing whatever, we are going to provide information so that you can get in touch with Macalester College's Center for Religious Life and the Jewish community. And we'll have all of that available on our YouTube channel and in other social media outlets. But thank you so much, Rabbi Emma Kipley-Ogman, for joining us. And thank you so much, everyone. Have a great day.
Thanks, Dana. What a pleasure.